Imagine a place where a massive river system just completely collides with the South Pacific Ocean. You have this bustling town hub, traffic, cafes, the usual stuff, but then the coastline just, it keeps going and going. We are talking about Port Macquarie in New South Wales, Australia.
It is honestly a fascinating spot geographically. You have the Hastings River meeting the Tasman Sea, and usually, when rivers meet the ocean, you just get a lot of muck, a lot of sandbars, and flat water. But here you get this incredible variety of coastal environments all packed into one relatively compact area.
Right, and that variety is actually, well, it's the exact problem we're trying to solve today.
Right.
Because I was looking at the council maps you sent over, and Port Macquarie isn't just a typical beach town with one nice strip of sand where everyone just parks their umbrella.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming.
It really is. It's a paradox of choice. I mean, in the immediate vicinity alone, you are looking at 17 different beaches.
17. That is just ridiculous.
It's a lot. And the crucial thing for anyone listening to understand is that they are not interchangeable. This isn't like, say, parts of Florida where you drive 10 miles and the beach looks exactly the same.
Right.
Here, the geology shifts completely. The orientation to the wind shifts. If you show up with a surfboard at a beach meant for toddlers, you're going to be bored out of your mind.
And if you're looking for solitude and you end up at the town skate park, you're going to be miserable.
Exactly.
So that is our mission for this deep dive. We've pulled together a ton of sources travel guides, from Drink Tea and Travel, official government brochures from Visit NSW, and those very detailed local council maps. We are going to categorize these beaches by personality and purpose.
See that you know exactly where to go.
Exactly. Whether you want to surf, walk your dog, escape humanity entirely, or just find a really, really good croissant muffin hybrid.
Ah, the cruffin, a very important category in travel planning.
Absolutely essential. So let's not waste any time. Let's dive straight into the obvious ones, the big three. These really seem to be the anchors of the town.
They definitely are. And the first one, inevitably, is Town Beach. I mean, the name gives it away. It is right there in the absolute center of the action.
This feels like the energetic hub,
Yep.
right? Looking at the maps, it's incredibly central.
It is. Geographically speaking, it's about 600 meters long, and it curves right between the river entrance and a headland called Flagstaff Point. Now, when you were looking at the council map, did you notice that curve?
Yeah, it looks like a distinct, almost a C shape.
Right. That curve, combined with that 15-meter high headland, protects the whole beach from the south winds.
And why is the south wind a problem?
Well, in Australia, the south wind is the cold, messy wind. It chops up the water, so Town Beach is naturally sheltered from that.
Which I assume makes it good for surfing. Or does that sheltering kind of kill the waves?
No, it actually organizes them beautifully. It's got a break specifically called Flagstaff that surfers absolutely love because it's so consistent. But what really makes Tan Beach the hub isn't just the water itself, it's the infrastructure around it.
Right. The Visit NSW guides mention a lot of facilities.
Yeah, you have a skate park right there on the reserve, an outdoor gym, and it's fully patrolled by lifeguards. It's where all the activity is happening.
One thing that really stood out to me in the sources was the breakwall. Now, usually a breakwall is just, a giant pile of concrete tetrapods to stop erosion. But this one seems totally different.
It's a photographer's dream. But more than that, it's almost like a cultural diary for the entire town. It's lined with these massive granite rocks, but they are all painted.
Like officially commissioned murals.
No, that's the cool part. It's entirely visitor art. People leave messages, tributes, holiday memories. You'll be walking along and you'll pass a rock that says Brad and Jen 2012, and then right next to it there's a beautifully painted memorial for someone who passed away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's this constantly evolving, incredibly colorful gallery right on the edge of the ocean. It's very organic.
That actually sounds quite emotional. It turns a standard morning walk into a narrative experience.
Yeah, it really does. And speaking of morning walks, the travel guides actually mention a very specific local group called the Sunrise Swimmers.
I saw that in the Drink Tea and Travel notes. Is this a formal club you have to join?
It's more of a local institution. If you are an early riser, and we're talking 6:00 a.m. here, you'll see them. It's a community group that swims first thing in the morning every single day, rain or shine, and then they all hit the local coffee spots.
That's dedication.
It gives the place a real village vibe, despite being a major tourist stop.
And don't forget to visit the Port Macquarie Surfing Museum. That's a really good experience for the whole family. Lots to take in and talk about, and it's totally free.
And I'm guessing that coffee spot is the Salty Crew kiosk mentioned in our stack.
That is exactly the one.
Okay, we have to talk about this. Describe this cruffin situation. I really need to know if it's actually worth the hype.
Oh, it is. It's croissant dough, but it's baked in a muffin tin, and it's usually filled with something amazing like custard or jam. You grab one of those, you sit on the deck at Salty Crew, and you just watch the surfers at the Flagstaff break. It is a highly civilized way to start a beach day.
Okay, color me convinced. So Town Beach is for the energetic crowd, the skaters, the surfers, and the caffeine addicts. But let's play devil's advocate for a second. Say I have 2 kids. They are 5 and 7. Town Beach sounds a bit chaotic for them. Where do I go so I don't have to worry about my kids getting swept away by a rip current?
You pack up and you move south to Flynns Beach. This is the quintessential family spot in Port Macquarie.
What makes it safer? Is it just smaller waves?
It's the actual physics of the coastline there. Flynns is sandwiched between 2 very significant rock formations to the north and to the south. And that natural embrace does 2 key things. First, it protects the bay from the wind, but it also diffracts the ocean swell.
Meaning the waves break up before they hit the shore.
Exactly. They lose a lot of their punch, so by the time the water hits the sand, it's much calmer.
So it's more of a gentle roll than a huge crashing break.
Spot on, and it's only about half a kilometer long, so it's very manageable visually.
Yeah.
You can sit on the sand and easily keep an eye on your kids.
And looking at the amenities list from the council, it seems totally designed for ease. I see patrolled by lifeguards and easy access flagged here.
Easy access is a huge deal here. A lot of beautiful Australian beaches require you to trek down 100 steep stairs through the bush. Flynns is incredibly accessible for people with disabilities or parents lugging strollers and beach tents. Plus, you have the Sandbox Cafe right there on the beach for breakfast.
So it's very self-contained.
Very. It's surrounded by hotels and resorts, so for a large chunk of visitors, Flynns is essentially their home base.
It sounds super convenient, but I imagine it gets a bit crowded.
It definitely can. It's very much the resort beach. So if you want wild, empty space, Flynns is in it.
Okay, so if Flynns is the safe, convenient resort bubble, where do I go to feel like I'm actually out in the wild?
Then you continue south to the third giant of the big 3 Lighthouse Beach.
Ah, the wild one.
That's the exact vibe. It is completely distinct from town or Flynns. It's the longest beach in town by far. We are talking 9 solid kilometers of sand stretching south. And unlike Flynns, it faces southeast.
Which means what exactly for the water?
It means it catches the full, uninterrupted force of the Tasman sea swell. There are no rocky arms to hug you here. The currents are incredibly strong, and the rips are powerful.
So absolutely not for the toddlers then.
No, definitely not. And honestly, it's not for beginner surfers either. The travel guides highly recommend this spot for intermediate level and up.
You know, what does intermediate actually mean in this context? Because let's face it, everyone thinks they're an intermediate surfer until they're caught in a rip and drowning.
That is a great point. In this specific context, intermediate means you genuinely know how to read a rip current. It means you can paddle out through heavy, crashing white water without getting exhausted, and you aren't intimidated by a wave that stands up very quickly. If you're still learning to pop up on the foam, you need to stay at Town Beach.
Got it. Better safe than sorry. Now, the main landmark here is obviously the Tacking Point Lighthouse, right?
Yes, built way back in 1879. It's a classic, beautiful little whitewashed lighthouse sitting right on the headland at the northern end. It's a fantastic spot for a photo. But down on the sand, there's a very specific, somewhat surprising activity you can do on Lighthouse Beach that you really can't do elsewhere in town.
I was so hoping we'd get to this. The camels.
Yes, Port Macquarie Camel Safaris.
I have to be completely honest with you, when I read camel rides on the beach in the prep notes, my internal skepticism alarm went off instantly. It sounds like a total tourist trap. Is it actually cool? Or is it just something people do for a quick Instagram photo?
I get the skepticism. It borders on kitsch, sure, and it seems completely incongruous to have desert animals on the lush New South Wales coast. But here's exactly why it works. Because Lighthouse Beach is 9 kilometers long, once you get on that camel train and head south, the town and the buildings just disappear behind you.
You leave the civilization behind.
You do. You are just surrounded by towering dunes and the open ocean. It's incredibly peaceful.
So you actually get some real isolation.
Yes. And there is a very practical tip in the Drink, Tea, and Travel Guide for this cache only.
That is a crucial detail for anyone listening. Do not show up with your Apple Watch expecting to tap and go for a camel ride.
Exactly. Bring physical cash. But the real magic of this experience happens between May and November.
Ah, the whale migration.
Bay whales. This coast is the migration highway. So picture this. You are sitting 6 feet up in the air on the back of a camel, gently swaying along the shoreline, looking out to sea. Because of that extra height, you have a very high chance of spotting humpback whales breaching or pods of dolphins riding the waves.
That sounds surreal.
It is a total collision of experiences. You have desert animals, ocean giants, and the Australian bush all in one frame. You just don't get that anywhere else.
Okay, that totally sold me. It's the elevation that makes the real difference for the whale watching.
Precisely. It gives you a perfect vantage point.
Now, we've talked about these 3 beaches, Town, Flynns, and Lighthouses, almost as if they are separate islands of experience. But one of the coolest things I found going through the Visit NSW brochures is that they aren't isolated at all. They're physically linked together.
Yes, this is essentially the secret sauce of the region's geography. The Port Macquarie Coastal Walk. It's a 9.1 kilometer trail, and that's one way that essentially connects every single thing we just talked about.
So if you had the energy, you could technically walk from the river mouth all the way down to the lighthouse.
You absolutely can, and walking it really helps to understand the layout of the town. The trail starts at Westport Park near the town green, goes right past Town Beach, up and over Flagstaff Hill, past Flynns, and just keeps heading south along the water.
But it's not just a flat, paved concrete boardwalk the whole way, is it?
No, it's not, and that's the beauty of it. Stages 1 and 2 are fairly civilized paved paths, easy walking. But as you get into stages 3 and 4, moving south past Flynns and Nobby's Beach, the terrain changes completely. You start hitting much steeper sections, rugged staircases, and eventually the trail leads you right into the Sea Acres National Park.
See, this is the transition that really caught my eye in the research. The sources describe it as literally stepping into a different world.
It's incredibly abrupt. You go from the glaring bright white sand and the loud roar of the ocean straight into the Sea Acres Rainforest Center. It's a rare coastal rainforest. Suddenly the canopy closes over you and the temperature drops a few degrees.
Wow.
The soundscape changes entirely, from crashing waves to the loud buzz of cicadas and native bird calls.
You're just walking on an elevated boardwalk through the rainforest canopy.
Yes. You're looking around and seeing goannas, those big Australian monitor lizards, just sunbathing on the tree trunks. It creates this incredible physical orientation for the listener. Port Macquarie isn't just a beach town, it's this incredibly thin strip of land where an ancient rainforest is basically fighting the ocean for space.
That is such a great image, the forest fighting the ocean. Okay, let's get a bit more niche now. We've covered the big generalist beaches, but a lot of our listeners might have very specific needs. Let's say I'm a dog owner. I know from experience that a lot of beaches in Australia are strictly no dogs allowed.
That's true, but Port Macquarie is surprisingly accommodating for pets. There are about 8 dog-friendly beaches in the area, but the absolute crown jewel for dog owners is Nobby's Beach.
I have to say, I fell in love with this place just reading the council notes about the stick library. Tell us about that.
Isn't that great? This is such a delightful small-town detail. Right at the entrance to Nobby's Beach, there is a physical box, and it's stocked entirely by the local community with good throwing sticks and old tennis balls.
A literal lending library for fetch.
Exactly. Need a stick? Take a stick, have a good stick, leave a stick. It speaks volumes about the local vibe there. It's not government funded or monitored. It's just neighbors being good neighbors.
That is amazing. But is it safe for dogs to be running off leash there? I always worry about dogs bolting up onto a busy road.
It's highly safe. It's technically an unfenced beach, but the local guides describe it as being naturally contained. It's a cove with very steep headlands on both the north and south sides. So unless your dog is part mountain goat, they aren't getting out of that bay. It's become a massive community hub. Honestly, people go there with their morning coffee just to watch the dogs play, even if they don't own a dog themselves.
I would absolutely be one of those people. Now, what if I want the exact opposite of a bustling community hub? What if I want to be completely alone?
If you want true isolation, then you need to cross the river. You want North Beach.
And this requires taking a ferry, right?
Yes, you have to take the Settlement Point ferry across the Hastings River.
Okay, but looking at the map, North Beach looks completely cut off from the main town. Is it actually worth the hassle of waiting for a ferry and crossing a river just to sit on some sand? Or is this just for grumpy locals who want to escape the tourists?
Well, it really depends on what you want out of your day. If you want a vanilla latte within walking distance of your towel, do not go to North Beach. But once you cross that river to the North Shore, the crowd density drops to almost zero. The beach stretches for kilometers. And crucially, if you have a 4WD vehicle, you are allowed to drive right onto the sand.
Ah, so it's really for the off-road adventure crowd.
Very much so. It connects directly to Limeburners Creek National Park. So this is the spot for the person who wants to surf fish in total peace, or set up a gazebo and a barbecue and literally not see another human being for 4 hours.
Okay, speaking of not seeing other humans, or perhaps, depending on where you look, seeing a bit too much of them, we have to talk about Miners Beach.
Ah, yes. The au natural crowd.
The travel guides are very polite with their phrasing about this, but let's just call a spade a spade.
Miners Beach is located just south of Shelley Beach. It's highly secluded. You actually have to hike in from Lighthouse Road through thick bushland, so it takes some physical effort to even get down there. And the sources specifically note it is an unofficial nudist spot.
Unofficial usually means everyone in town knows about it, but there's no official sign, and the local police just look the other way.
Precisely. It's a stunningly beautiful little beach, intimately connected to the rainforest. But, if you're hiking the coastal walk with your very conservative grandmother, just be aware of what you might see if you peer over the edge of the track.
Good tip. Keep your eyes firmly on the horizon, Grandma.
Definitely.
And finally, for our niche categories, the council map highlights something for the rock scramblers.
Yes, Rocky Beach. The name is completely literal.
I do love a literal name.
This one isn't for swimming or sunbathing at all, really. The sand is minimal. Instead, it's completely covered in large rock formations. It's a paradise for people who love exploring tidal pools.
It sounds like a fantastic place for kids who are maybe a bit older, the explorers who want to find crabs and things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just spending an hour scrambling over the rocks, looking for crabs and starfish and anemones in the pools. It's a very tactical, hands-on beach experience compared to just lying flat on a towel all day.
So, moving away from the main strip now,
Yeah.
this deep dive wouldn't be complete without looking at the day trips. If we have a rental car and we want to explore a bit further out from Port Macquarie proper, where are we going?
Just a little bit south of town, you have Shelley Beach. Now, we mentioned it briefly when talking about the walk, but it really deserves its own moment. The Visit NSW brochure describes it as idyllic.
Is it heavily developed?
No, but it has been very recently upgraded. As of August 2023, they put in brand new amenities, modern showers, proper change rooms. But the actual vibe of the beach is still very natural and untouched. It's backed by a steeply sloping cliff, so it feels very private, almost like a secret pirate cove.
I like the sound of that. What about Grants Beach? That was further down the map.
Yes, Grants Beach is in North Haven, which is about a 30-minute drive south. It's a massive 3.5-kilometer stretch of sand. But the real reason you drive down here is for the Grants Beach Coastal Walk.
How is that walk different from the main Port Macquarie town walk we just talked about?
It's all about the flora and fauna. On the Grants Beach Walk, you're moving through distinct heathland filled with wildflowers, dense melaleuca swamps, and tall eucalypt forests. The birdwatching here is incredibly specific and renowned. You regularly get honeyeaters, thornbills, and the glossy black cockatoo.
Glossy black cockatoo. That sounds like a very specific tick mark for the bird nerd.
Oh, it is. If you are a birder, Grants Beach is absolutely your non-negotiable stop in the region.
And there was one more spot regarding geology. Rainbow Beach.
Right, located in Bonny Hills. This is a fascinating spot if you look closely at the rocks. It starts at Middle Rock Point with dolerite rocks, which are these dark volcanic formations, and it ends entirely with sedimentary rocks.
Can a regular person actually see the difference? Or is this something only a trained geologist with a magnifying glass would notice?
Oh no, you can clearly see it. It's a massive visual clash. You have these dark, jagged, harsh, volcanic-looking formations on one end of the beach, and then soft, horizontally layered, sandy-colored rocks on the other. You can literally see the deep geological history of the coastline shifting right under your feet as you walk.
It's amazing how much diversity is packed into this one stretch of coastline. You have volcanic rocks, sedimentary layers, dense rainforests, and huge sand dunes.
It really is a geological buffet.
Okay, all this hiking, swimming, and rock scrambling creates a serious appetite. We touched on the cruffins at Town Beach earlier, but let's do a quick run-through of the broader food scene mentioned in our stack. Because you can't survive on beautiful scenery alone.
Very true. Well, aside from the Salty Crew kiosk, you have a place called Little Shack down by the Breakwall at Town Beach. They are widely known for their morning tacos and churros.
Morning tacos, I am fully 100% on board with that kind of culinary innovation.
It is hard to beat after a swim. Now, for something a bit more substantial for dinner, the guides highlight the beach house. It offers waterfront dining, and the specific menu highlight mentioned across the sources is their juniper smoked lamb.
Wow, okay. That sounds quite a bit fancier than your standard seaside fish and chips.
It definitely is. And if you want the classic, high-end, overwater dining experience, you have to go to Whalebone Wharf. You are dining literally suspended over the Hastings River. They do a crispy, soft-shell crab there that gets absolute rave reviews in the travel guides.
Excellent. And shifting gears for a second, for the people who listen to us talk about those heavy, strong currents at Lighthouse Beach and thought, I really need to learn how to surf properly before I go out there, where do they go?
There are two main highly rated surf schools mentioned in the guides, Soul Surfing and Port Macquarie Surf School. They operate mostly out of Town Beach or Flynns Beach, where, like we discussed, the waves are much more forgiving and organized.
Perfect. And what about accommodation? I know we aren't a travel agency, but what's the general range here? Are we talking mostly backpacker hostels or high-end resorts?
It covers the absolute full spectrum. You have the NRMA Breakwall Holiday Park if you want to camp or park a caravan right next to the action. You are literally sleeping 50 meters from the painted breakwall in Town Beach. And on the complete other end of the budget, you have Sails Port Macquarie for a luxury resort-style stay. So whether you are zipping up a tent or ordering room service in a suite, you are covered.
Okay, so let's try to unpack all of this. What does this massive list of beaches actually mean for the listener? Because let's be honest, there are plenty of beautiful beach towns in the world. Why should they care about this one specifically?
I think the biggest key takeaway from all these sources is about the sheer density of experience. Usually, when you book a coastal holiday, you kind of have to pick a lane. You go to a rugged surf town, or you go to an isolated nature retreat, or you go to a manicured family resort. Port Macquarie seems to be all of those things just layered right on top of each other.
It's the proximity of it all that gets me.
Exactly. Think about it. You can have a morning taco at a bustling skate park, walk 45 minutes south, and suddenly be standing in a silent, ancient rainforest canopy, and then walk another hour south and be riding a camel on a deserted beach watching whales. The barrier to entry for these vastly different experiences is just so incredibly low because they are all linked by that one coastal walk.
It really puts the control entirely in the visitor's hands. You don't have to drive 2 hours in traffic to change the vibe of your day. You just keep walking down the path.
That's it. You curate your own day just by moving down the coastline.
And you know, I can't stop thinking about the contrast you mentioned earlier.
Which one?
The stick library versus the whale.
Oh, yeah. It is a really powerful image when you put them side by side.
Think about it for a second. On one beach, Nobbies, you have this incredibly small, human, intensely community-driven gesture, a literal cardboard box of collected sticks for neighborhood dogs. It's playful, it's domestic, it's safe. And then, just a few kilometers down the exact same stretch of sand at Lighthouse Beach, you have these massive 40-ton ancient creatures, the humpback whales, just migrating past, completely wild and totally indifferent to us.
It captures the true essence of the place perfectly. It's highly accessible and friendly, but it's sitting right on the razor's edge of something wild and incredibly powerful. You get the warmth of a small town community, but you also get the raw, unfiltered power of nature.
It's a place where you can throw a tennis ball for a golden retriever and then watch a whale breach 5 minutes later.
That is Port Macquarie in a nutshell.
Well, I know exactly where I'm booking my next trip, and I'm definitely bringing cash for the camels.
Just don't forget to bring a good stick for the library.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Port Macquarie's beaches. We'll catch you on the next one.
If you found this information helpful, can you please like and subscribe to our channel? We are on a mission to reach 1,000 subscribers. That will make it easier for us to continue making these videos and maybe cover our overheads, so any assistance is greatly appreciated. To subscribe is free, and it really does send a strong and positive message to YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in our next video.